going, towards the gas station. How do you make a left?
Talking to a couple board people about that today. The HOA board was like, we gotta start.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Part of it.
Hey, sorry, I just came from another meeting.
Maybe a new swing set and stuff on the playground.
You're important, you're important.
6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock if you would like to start.
Invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Item number 1 is the agenda approval.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 2, approval of minutes, May 20th, 2025.
I'll move we approve the minutes from May 20th.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 3, general rezoning, RZ 25.03.01, 0 Lawrence Daniel Drive. Davis Marsh requested general rezoning of 0 Lawrence Daniel Drive from MU2 to MFT.
Okay. All right, so this is a general rezoning application for 0 Lawrence Daniel Drive. This request is to rezone from mixed-use 2 to multifamily transitional. And I want to make that clear that it doesn't actually allow multifamily housing, only single-family detached homes. It used to in the past, but not anymore. And then, so on April 29th, we had a neighborhood meeting, and some of the residents from the adjoining neighborhood came out and voiced some concerns about traffic and noise, and I'll address those a little bit later in the presentation as well. So you can see the aerial view on the left shows the parcel connecting to the Woodbridge neighborhood. It connects onto the cul-de-sac on Lawrence Daniel Drive. And this parcel used to be larger, but has since been subdivided for this rezoning. And then on the right side, you can see the street view, where just the woods are now, is the parcel that we were talking about during this rezoning. And then some history about the property. As you can see in the image, the parcel has been subdivided. This rezoning only concerns that front portion that connects to Lawrence Daniel Drive. The rear portion is mostly floodplain, which cannot be developed on. So they subdivided the property to make it easier to put homes on that property. And then a little bit more history. It was last rezoned in 2018 when the town did their mass rezoning. It was originally R10, which was just a residential zoning district, and is now mixed use 2, which allows for a variety of commercial uses as well. Previously, this property was the exact same zoning as the rest of the Woodbridge neighborhood, but that Woodbridge neighborhood has since been rezoned to MFT. And this, on the right, you can see the current zoning, which shows in the green the mixed-use 2 zoning district. And I also wanted to make it kind of just give you some background on what could actually be built on this property if it was to be rezoned to MFT. That's a single-family residential zoning district, so all it would allow to be built are single-family homes. Based on the fact that the applicant does not want to go through the major development review process, they could build up to 4 homes on the lot, but just depending on choice of the applicant and some utility easements, they might not be able to do all 4, but it could be up to 4 homes built on that property that could be accessed through a private drive. And then in our comprehensive land use plan, we have a future land use map that shows this area as being single-family neighborhood, as well as the entire neighborhood of Woodbridge. And another approved plan we have, or adopted plan we have, is for the Idlewild Road Small Area Plan, which also shows this neighborhood as single-family detached homes. You can see in the red circle there. But staff does recommend approval of RZ 250301 to rezone this property to multifamily transitional. This would be consistent with the future land use plan and the small area plan, and it would make a seamless transition in between the Woodbridge neighborhood and would allow to keep that Woodbridge neighborhood, the character, protect the character of that neighborhood, but so that way no commercial developments could be built attached to that cul-de-sac. And we did address some concerns from the residents about traffic. They also talked about their property values, but we do believe that this rezoning will allow the greatest use of that land without hurting the surrounding neighborhood. Okay. Do you have any questions about that?
Said it was going to be, once they would build up to the four homes, it would be accessed by a private drive.
Yes.
Where would that come in from? From the entrance to the subdivision that's next to it?
Yes, the that cul-de-sac. So right here, it touches the cul-de-sac wide enough for a drive to be put in,
Okay.
and so they could have one that stems off of that and supplies up to 4 houses.
Okay.
For the current zoning, what are some?
There's, I forgot the number, but it's a lot of uses. It's like 70-something, 80-something uses, and it could be like bars, restaurants, pretty much most commercial uses can be built on that lot currently by right. So they're just trying to, protect the neighborhood and only allow single-family homes to be built there instead of having a bar become your new neighbor.
There'd be potentially worse traffic if commercial development were there than
Yes.
residential. Would the houses going in there be of a similar style to what is in the Woodbridge neighborhood, do you know?
Yes, they would have to complement the Woodbridge neighborhood.
And would the existing cul-de-sac remain and this would just stem off of the cul-de-sac?
Yes, yeah, it would not affect the actual flow of the cul-de-sac.
Is it served by the sewer system or septic?
I am not sure about that one. And the applicant is here as well if you have questions for them.
And how many homes again?
It can be up to 4, but that's not set that they will build 4. They
Right.
could build 1, but up to 4.
Any other questions? Nope. Motion for any?
I move that we approve the request and find that it's consistent and reasonable with the land use plan.
Second it?
All in favor?
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 4, conditional rezoning, CZ 25.02.01 Mill Creek Residential. Applicant is requesting an annexation and zoning change from HC Union County zoning to CZ-MU-2 to allow for the development of a 324-unit multifamily residential development. Mr. Max.
Thank you, Planning Board. I just wanted to show the statement of consistency and reasonableness for the previous general rezoning, just so that, just for the record, just wanted to show it. Give me just 1 second to pull up. Yes, here it is. All right, so this is conditional rezoning application CZ 25-0201 for Mill Creek. Multi-family residential. So the applicant, Morin Van Allen, who is assisting Mill Creek, requested an annexation and a conditional zoning to conditional zoning mixed use 2 for the area off of Highway 74. That's 12.57 acres in size. I'll show you the aerial in the next slide. The proposed development includes 300 to 324 unit multifamily residential community, and has a possibility of a 6,000 square foot commercial on one of the site plans. I did want to let you know that planning board will not be making a recommendation on annexation. You're only making a recommendation on the conditional zoning today. The annexation goes to council. So this existing parcel's located in Union County, and it's zoned highway commercial, HC. It does not permit residential development by right. So this is why they're doing the annexation and the conditional zoning to multifamily. The aerial on Highway 74, so the site's wooded, and it's one of the last parcels on Highway 74 up for annexation along Stallings and Indian Trail. As you can see in the picture to the right, Stallings is in pink and Indian Trail's in blue. Very close to the Fitness Connection area with the Cookout and the Biscuitville and Starbucks. It's very close to that parcel on Highway 74. They've submitted multiple site plans, and I did want to show you 2 site plans along with their submittal, and I want planning board's recommendation on what they want to see as well. So the submitted site plan that they originally submitted had 324 multifamily units. It didn't include any commercial. Staff, since the very beginning, has been pushing them on commercial along Highway 74. We see that that's the development pattern along Highway 74. And so site plan A is just residential only. I did want to show you site plan B as well, and site plan B is a little bit larger, more detailed because it's a newer site plan, and it incorporates in the red a 6,000 square foot retail building, and it reduces the units from 324 to 300 units. Staff does like this site plan better, but we would still like to see more commercial. Here's an elevation concept. Since this is conceptual, just wanted to make sure you saw what the product may look like. Some just additional information for the project summary. The adjacent zoning is C74 commercial, and they would be required to do open space of 10%, which they're providing 12. They would be required to do tree save, which they are, of 6%, which they are requiring. That TV just turned off, so I apologize. I'm gonna have to look at this one now. They are on the watershed, Crooked Creek watershed, which is one of the most difficult watersheds. It's with capacity, but Union County does control sewer there, and I would save sewer capacity questions for the developer if possible. There's no small area plan for the area, but I will have a slide on it coming up. The future land use for this property, so we adopted the future land use and comprehensive land use plan in 2017, which is honestly a very different time. It shows office center, suburban office center on the site, and as you can see, it's surrounded by suburban office center as well. At the time, Highway 74 did not have the bypass, and we didn't know how the future of the bypass was gonna, or the expressway was gonna affect the town. We also see that there's less need for office spaces as well after certain times. So staff does see this as an outdated future land use, but just wanted to let you know that it was comprehensive land use plan was adopted in 2017 for suburban office center on the site. It is consistent with our Greenway master plan as well. The site isn't in our Greenway master plan, but they are providing a greenway along the frontage. I believe that they've changed the location and widened it on the second site plan, but I'm forgetting the numbers at this point, and I can't see the screen, so I apologize. I should have had it printed out in front of me, and if the developers can mention it. Okay, thanks. We also adopted a new small area plan for the Highway 74 corridor. Thank you. That incorporates the Silver Line plan. This site is circled in red. It wasn't incorporated in the study area, but across the street, across from Highway 74, it does show an employment district that is accessible with the Silver Line in the future. We added a a few meetings on this already. We did all the rezonings per state statute, or excuse me, the notifications per state statute and the ordinance. We had a meeting on March 6th. We did not have anybody from the public come to that meeting, and I do believe it's because there's no residential within 500 feet of this development. And we had a subcommittee meeting, which is a council, not open to the public meeting with 3 council members, where they did discuss the proposal, and tonight's the planning board meeting. And the town council hearings on July 14th, and I put TBD just because that dates, the future dates are always not set in stone. So staff does recommend approval of this conditional zoning. We do recommend adding a few conditions though, but only we're recommending approval of the site that has the commercial component. Staff still does want to see additional commercial, but I've talked to the developer about these conditions, and they've agreed to some, and, you know, it's a moving process, so they may we'll make compromises throughout the conditional zoning process, but I did want to make sure that planning board saw these recommendations so you can base your decisions on what staff has recommended. We do see that balconies are not located in the elevations. They did agree to balconies, just not on every single side of the building. We did want architectural aesthetics, including materials, building elevations, that come back to planning board as a recommendation. I'm not sure that the applicant wants to do that at this time. They just want to do it at staff level after, if it was approved by council, but I'll let them mention that. 18 inches of exposed brick, it seems like is reasonable to the developer. And then the commercial component requiring to be constructed prior to the issuance of permits for more than 2/3 of the residential units is still not agreed to upon, but I do believe that council, we had a conditional zoning for a different development. They wanted this condition in that development, and I'm gonna push for a certain type of condition like this going through the process. Private streets maintained, that's fine. Vested rights, I think they're asking for 7, actually. I'm okay with that. And then the commercial component, not to include vape shops, tobacco retailers, smoke shops, hookah bars, and things that are like that, they're okay with. We're bringing a text amendment to council next week. Is it next week? Yeah. To change where those uses are located. My recommendations based on the mix of commercial and residential uses align with the adopted small area plan. Additionally, reflects the development pattern along Highway 74. And they also show a greenway, which is consistent with the goals of the greenway, even though that's not on our plan. Do you have any questions for me about what I've presented tonight?
Is the only means of ingress and egress directly to Highway 74?
So that would be the main entrance. They do have easements along their buffer area to connect to the surrounding parcels, if those were to be developed in the future. I think the one to the north has automotive repair and Stallings. They're not planning on connecting to that at this time. And then to the south is a commercial building in Indian Trail that's already built out. They're not, they're just putting an easement there. And then the one to the, which would be north, actually, on the site plan, I believe is going through a rezoning. I talked to the developer briefly. I can't remember exactly, but that's an Indian Trail. If they want to mention it, they can. But it's for future development to connect to. Yes.
Given our need for commercial development here, had we looked at plans to use this area for something other than housing unit? Was any discussed for?
Could you repeat your question? I apologize. No, you're good.
So given our need for commercial revenue, was there anything looked at in the current plan that this port, instead of being used for residential, could be used fully for commercial uses?
So we didn't have a study showing what you're asking for.
Okay.
We have not looked into that. The future land use plan does show it as an office.
No, I meant
I know,
the office part, right?
But, sorry, yeah, we just have not done a study
Okay.
on the feasibility of the entire site being commercial. which would likely probably be the case if we were to study it in a future land use plan, but we don't have any data to support that at this time.
Okay.
Showed us the small area plan that shows it as the office, where the way that it's proposed in the future space. So if we were to say, okay, we move forward with this, would we want to find it inconsistent but reasonable?
Yes, that would be the hypothetical answer, yes.
Question two is, can you explain where this fits in with, like, you know, how it ties in with, I know council controlled the majority of this, with the annexation process, and where our rezoning fits in? Like, I'm assuming if
Of course.
there's no annexation.
Well, they could annex the property and not do an rezoning. But the process aligns together. So, for example, they're allowed to submit the annexation request and the condition. The annexation process is 3 meetings, where the conditional zoning is 4 meetings minimum. So we had to make sure all those meetings aligned with each other. And the planning board is kind of just stuck somewhere in the middle, just recommending only the conditional zoning. So those 3 annexation meetings only go to council. And annexations don't come to planning board. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I kind of started rambling. Yes. So essentially, Mill Creek has to have 7 meetings.
That would go beyond the tax base that would be gained from it?
So since the roads are private, no. Yes, with police though. And then they, at this time, haven't submitted like any traffic impact analysis. They're not required to do so with a conditional zoning. So we don't know how, but they would be required to do so before they do site plan review. We don't know what those recommendations would be at this point. But I don't see any specific services that Stallings controls that would be affected other than police.
Well, it's difficult for the fire department to get there.
Yes, but yeah, they're, okay, and just hit this bottom button.
They listed a lot of stuff. Be off of 74.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lisa Thompson. I'm a land use consultant with Moore and Van Allen. I'm here tonight on behalf of Mill Creek Residential. Also with us tonight with the Mill